So in today's video, we're going to be diving into the Bosch GT-1000 core. I want to give you a basic introduction into getting started with this brand new guitar processing unit. We're going to go through the menu system, how to start customizing patches and saving those onto the onboard memory. Now, I will be doing a full ultimate guide taking you through all of the settings on this product, so be sure to like and subscribe to the channel so you can catch that when I upload it, and keep an eye out on the links in the video description because as soon as I release that product guide, I will post it down below. So let's take a look at how you can select a patch on the Bosch GT-1000 core. Now, when I transitioned over from my Kemper Profiler, my previous guitar processing unit, over to the GT-1000 core, it took me a while to customize myself and become familiar with selecting patches and the new systems inside of the GT-1000 core. So I'm really excited to create this video to help you have a very seamless first impression with the Bosch GT-1000 core. Now, if we take a look at the Bosch GT-1000 core, you can see right here we've got this huge LCD display. Now, this right here is called the play screen, and this will display all of the information about the current patch you have booted in. It will tell you the name of the patch number over here, and also some essential information about the amplifier that's loaded in, like the gain level, the bass, the treble, the BPM, and even the patch level. So if the patch is a little bit too quiet, you can turn it up, or if this specific patch is way too loud compared to another patch, you can actually dial it back a little bit if required. Now, a really cool thing we can do with the play screen is we can actually adjust the type of information it's displaying. Now, to the right-hand side of the GT-1000 core, you can see here we have two arrows. We've got an arrow going to the left and an arrow going to the right. Now, this will allow you to adjust the display and what information is being presented to you. So if you scroll over to the right, it will present you with patch up and patch down, and then whatever is mapped to the control pedal 1 foot switch. If you change the Bosch GT-1000 core's pedal mode, this will display something different, and we'll talk about that in just a moment. And then if we scroll over to the right again, this will show you the actual effects chain. So you can see here, this is telling me the entire effects chain of this specific patch I have loaded in. So you can see we've got like an amplifier here, we're running a noise suppressor and also an EQ, and then so on and so on. We can keep scrolling through and check our effects chain further to make sure that everything is correct. Now, if we scroll all the way over to the left, this will take you to the default layout, which is what it will look like out of the box. You can see we've got the huge patch number, and we also have the patch name, and then the same information that we just covered. But there's something really important that I want to explain about the type of preset that I currently have loaded in. Now, by default, when you first boot up the Bosch GT-1000 core, you'll probably be presented with the factory default presets. Now, there's 250 factory presets, and there's also 250 user presets. Now, both of them are exactly the same. They're a duplicate of the factory presets, but you can customize the user presets. And the way you define the difference between a factory preset and a user preset is by this digit over here. So you can see right now I have patch 1 U loaded in. Now this means I have patch 1 user loaded in. So this means I can customize and overwrite this specific preset to my desired amplifier configuration and effects. However, if I were to have chosen premium drive, but I chose it in the performance, in the factory default mode where it says P, you can see these are factory presets that I cannot customize and overwrite. These will always be factory presets. However, we have duplicates of these exact same presets that I have access to here, but user versions of them as well that you can customize and overwrite your specific settings to. So let's talk about the Footswitches and how we can customize their functionality on the GT-1000 core. Now, the default configuration of these three Footswitches will be set to memory. Now, memory works as follows. You can go up a memory bank by clicking the up arrow, and then you can decrease through your memory banks by clicking the Footswitch over to the left. Now, this third Footswitch over here, Control 1, you may have noticed as I scrolled through different presets, it actually illuminated to offer a specific functionality. Now, a really cool thing about the control pedal 1 functionality is you can customize this to do pretty much whatever you wish. You can make it be an overdrive turn on and off, or a Stompbox for the delay to turn your delays on and off in your reverbs. You can customize it to do really cool things like that. But a really cool thing that you can do with the control pedal function is if you connect your Bosch GT-1000 core to a traditional tube or valve amplifier, like this Blackstar that I have down on the floor behind me here, you can actually set up this control foot switch to channel select on your traditional valve amplifier, which is absolutely insane. And I actually did a full video talking about the full cable method, setting up an effects loop, and setting up that channel select switch that you can check out over here if you want to learn about that in more detail. Now, if we go back to the Bosch GT-1000 core, I want to show you how we actually change the mode of these Footswitches and how they're actually running. Now, what you may notice on your Bosch GT-1000 core is there's some little text and little words located over here. We've got tuner and we also have manual. Now, if we click tuner, the way we access it, we have to do a shortcut. So we've got to click Footswitch 1 and Footswitch 2 simultaneously. And this will take us in to the tuner. And now you can see if I had a guitar plugged in, I'd be able to tune my guitar in the tuner screen over here. Now we'll click it again, Footswitch 1 and Footswitch 2 to exit out of tuner mode, and it will take us back into performance mode. Now, to change the functionality of the Footswitches, we're going to do another shortcut that's very similar. But this time, we're going to do a shortcut on Footswitch 2 and Footswitch 3. And this will take us from memory mode into manual mode. So the way we access this is by clicking Footswitch 2 and Footswitch 3 simultaneously, and it will change us into manual mode. So you can now see all of these lights are no longer illuminating, and we now have full control and we're in Stompbox mode. So you can see if I click this foot switch, it will turn my distortion pedal on. If I click this foot switch, it will turn my phaser pedal on. And if I do this foot switch, it will do my channel select on my amplifier, as I was talking about earlier. So now we have changed these foot switches to be more traditional, like a pedal board would have. You have Stompbox style on and off foot switches for each of the effects, or whatever you assign to the foot switches. To me personally, this is my favorite mode because it gives you more control and flexibility within the actual patch you have booted in. But you may be questioning, how on earth can I switch memory banks now I've changed into manual mode? Well, obviously you could change back to memory mode simply by triggering the same shortcut and just clicking that, go back to memory mode. But you can also use this select switch over here to just scroll between all of your patches. So you can see here we've gone from premium drive to deep shimmer and so on. We can keep scrolling through all of my different patches as I wish. Now, a pro tip that I want to share with you that you should definitely use if you plan to use the Bosch GT-1000 core on stage as your performance tool, I highly recommend putting the Bosch GT-1000 core into knob lock mode, because you may encounter a little problem. Now, because the Bosch GT-1000 core is so small and compact, when you turn your stomp boxes on and off and switch patches, your feet may accidentally kick this select foot switch, for example, and you may just fly into the abyss of some random preset that isn't relevant to what you were doing and totally ruin your performance. Well, you'll be pleased to know we can actually lock these foot switches over here so we don't make any mistakes and accidentally adjust anything while we're performing and make a total idiot of ourselves on stage. So what we'll do is we will trigger this lock feature here. So you can see here it says lock with 2 lines. Well, if we click this simultaneously, it will turn knob lock on. And now when I move the select button, it will simply refuse to change patches. So we're now locked into preset 1 and I can't make any mistakes with my feet by accidentally clicking those knobs above the foot switches. So now let's move on and talk about editing the effects within our patch. So currently I have a user preset loaded in so I can save and overwrite this if I wish. And we're going to click the effects button over here. And this is going to take us into the effects chain menu that we briefly took a look at earlier on. But the difference is this time we can actually edit the effects within this screen. So if we take a look back at this screen and we use this select button over here, we can scroll through all of the different parts of our effects chain. So you can see here I've got a wah plugged into the front of my amplifier, and then I have a compressor, I've got a parametric EQ, I even have a phaser and a tremolo. These are all going in before my amplifier. This is the way the layout works. So right here we have a thing called a divider. Now currently this divider is set to single mode, but I can change the mode to dual. Now when it's set to dual mode, this unlocks the feature where we can run 2 amplifiers simultaneously. So you can see with the effects chain, right now I have got a wah going into the front of my divider, and then this divider is splitting off into 2 different amplifiers. So right here I have an amplifier, Air Preamp 1, I'll turn that on just by clicking the select button, and I also have Air Amp 2, which is turned on as well. So I can turn that off or turn that on. So right now we're running a dual amplifier setup, which is really cool. We can tweak the gain and the settings within both of these air preamps, and then we can move on to the next stage. Equip a noise suppressor or disable the noise suppressor just by simply clicking this dial here, and then adding an EQ or whatever you wish. Then we go to the next divider over here. Now, all of the effects blocks that will be present after this second divider will be standard effects that you would traditionally run through an effects loop within a valve amplifier. So obviously, when you have a valve amplifier, you run all of your distortion pedals into the front of the preamp because you want to push the preamp with the distortion pedal. But things like reverbs and delays, you very frequently want to run those through the effects loop so they're separate to the preamp and they're not becoming distorted and they have as much clarity as they possibly can. Well, this is what we're going to explore now after the second divider. We've now explored the preamp stage, the preamp stage. Now we're exploring the post-preamp stage, which is all of our reverbs and delays. So we'll take a look at the options we have here. Now, a really cool thing about the Bosch GT-1000 core is its ability to run 24 simultaneous effects blocks. And this is an example of the sheer power of this unit. You can see right here, we have the ability to run 4 simultaneous delay effects, which is absolutely insane and unlimited possibilities with what you could achieve with this. Now, the way I'm turning these effects on and off is just by clicking the select button to activate and deactivate them within my effects chain. But there's something I want to show you in how you can actually relocate specific effects within your chain, whether you put it before the amplifier or after the preamp, however you want to actually equip it within the effects chain. Now, if we choose this delay pedal right here and we click and hold and move to the right with the select dial, you can see I'm actually relocating this delay pedal wherever I like within the effects chain. I can even put it in amongst the preamp. I can put it before the preamp. I can do whatever I like in terms of where I place it, which is really cool and very flexible. Now I'm just going to put it back to where it originally was. Now, there's lots of advanced settings that we can explore on the Bosch GT-1000 core, and these are found inside of the menu parameter. Now, if we click the menu button, you can see here we have lots of audio routing options inside of the in and out settings for setting out the sub-outs, the main outputs, optimizing the input for many different instruments, and we can even access a variety of different hardware settings like changing the knob modes, even changing some of these control pedal features, how our expression pedal and external pedals work if we connect those to the device, and we even have even more options over here like MIDI, metronome options, and just the ability to factory reset everything that we have changed. But for today's video, I'm not going to deep dive into this menu, and I'm going to save that for my ultimate guide that I will be releasing very, very soon. So keep a lookout in the link in the description, and also just be sure to like and subscribe to the channel for updates on that product guide when I release it, going through all of these different settings in detail. But there's one final thing that I want to share with you before we conclude today's video, and that's the ability to save all of the changes you may make to your very first patch. Now, there's not much use in tweaking all of these settings, optimizing your patch, the perfect delay with the perfect tempo, if as soon as you switch your Bosch GT-1000 core off, you just lose all of those changes you've made. So you're going to want to understand how to write all of these saves, all of these changes to the onboard memory. So if we head into the write menu, and we click this dial here to go into the writing process. So this will take us into the patch name menu. Right here, we could change all of the characters by moving these dials here, deleting characters, adding characters to rename the patch to something a little bit more useful. And then with this dial here, we can actually change the save location. So right now, this current patch is going to be saved to U001, which is just the default place for Premium Drive anyways. But if you wish to relocate this to another destination, you could actually just move this dial here and you can change the save destination as seen here. You can see we could move it to patch 4, 5, 6, whatever you want to do, you can reallocate it as follows. But I'm just going to leave it on Premium Drive now, just currently. Now, to execute the saving process, all you got to do is just simply press this write button over here. So if I click write, it will execute the command and it will save all of those changes I just made and demonstrated in today's video to the Premium Drive. So this then means if I go over to any other patch on the GT-1000 core, I can come back to Premium Drive 1 and all of my saved changes will remain intact that we just made. Now, if you want to see some more videos on the Bosch GT-1000 core, be sure to like and subscribe to the channel so you can get updated on my ultimate guide when I release it. And I'll put a link in the video description down below when that course goes live. But as always, I've been Ben Rowlands. Thank you so much for watching, and I will see you in the next one.